Uh, okay, it's live now, and hopefully everyone can hear
Hey,
us.
I'm Maddie.
And I'm Ryan. Welcome to Insomniacs in the Morning on
We're
this beautiful
finally
program
here.
we use called Google Hangouts.
hmm I'm thrilled to see that it's still working.
hmm
Still, after a couple of minutes, which means that this might really be our show.
This is one of those instances where we start the show and it takes forever because, we log into Google Hangouts and immediately is like, no, I'm not going to work
No,
today.
no.
In fact, we are going to secretly install an update, and then you have to restart your computer and Chrome and everything else because Google doesn't tell you anything. It makes a billion
Well,
trillion dollars, and
we're not going to complain about it. We're going to
no, we're not.
move
I feel
on.
like that's how we start this. We're always like, Google,
So,
Goggle.
we have some cool updates for you since Christmas. If you
We
haven't
do.
been paying attention to the APV channel, we put up 2 videos because even though we
Oh,
didn't
we
record
did.
Insomniacs that week, we saw each
And
other.
this is everyone's favorite show.
I know. But we saw each other in real life and we recorded videos in real life.
We did. We actually put out we did a vote, and we were like, what do you want to see? And everybody really wanted to watch us eat pizza, so we did that and talked about
More
sexuality
people
as usual, like the two things we ever do: eat pizza, talk about sexuality, and Wolverine.
Yeah. Well, people watch that video, so I really can't complain. So there is a video of us eating pizza and chatting, which is probably like the equivalent of this show, I guess.
I
And then
guess,
there's
but I mean, it
a
was really good
Throwback
pizza. Maybe
theater
we need to
episode.
just switch gears and do like Insomniacs at night, and it's just like us eating pizza instead of drinking coffee.
I mean, we could do that. It would be a lot easier.
We can
because
get
I wouldn't
Mary
have to
Ellen
get
on
up
there. We can
early.
start a whole new show called like Pizza Dates. Will you?
This would require you to move to Massachusetts, which is a work in progress.
It is a work in
Sir.
progress, which we're not going to talk about on the show, but that is a thing that's
Until
happening.
then, we have to do this fucking Google Hangouts thing. Anyway, so that's what we did. Those things are on the Atomic Blue Productions channel, and you can check them
You
out
want to?
if you want
Well,
to.
I mean, you didn't even mention what the other video was, which is another throwback
Oh,
where we
right.
read a story
The other
that I
one
wrote this
is the
time.
Throwback Theater, which it means that we revisited something from when we were teenagers and either read it or
Yes,
watched
we
it.
actually
And in
took
this
an
case,
actual
we read
theater
it.
and we threw it. That's what it means.
No, it doesn't. We don't have the budget for that shit. We just read a story that Ryan wrote about Geno characters when he was a kid, and we
It
did
was
one
sort
of
of
the
like the equivalent to what Maddie did, where they were all like
we did
over
one of
sexualized. Yeah.
my characters, Geno character stories from when I was around the same age, and so you can watch both of those, I guess, and you can watch Geno, which is a show that we made. Okay, that's enough of that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you've been playing anything or starting anything, but I've like
Oh, well, today's
I'm.
Thursday instead of Friday, so there's a new Let's Watch 2 Movies out on SoundCloud if people
That's
want
true. That's true.
to do that. But don't do it yet. Finish
Yeah, you got to watch
watching
this show first. And I can't talk about Fuller House yet because I haven't finished that. And I know everybody's like anxiously waiting to
What's
know
Ryan's take
what
on
everyone
Fuller
is thinking about
House?
Fuller House.
What
I
is
also,
he thinking?
I guess we got Bloodborne here, so I got to play that, and also the new
Whoa.
Final Fantasy and the Skyrim HD remake. But I haven't had any time because I'm kind of like hyper focused on existing.
I hear ya. Well, I've been playing a bunch of Overwatch, but I don't really have a ton to say about that other than that it's fun.
Well, yeah, except for that character is gay, and like now everybody in Overwatch
Yeah,
is making
Tracer's
out. There's just like a
gay.
massive orgy happening.
That's pretty cool.
As
that
all
Tracer's
video
gay.
games go.
There's a lot of shipping in the Overwatch fandom, which I'm sure you've noticed, even if you aren't a part of it. It's
I
like
mean, I have
all
a
of
Tumblr.
Yeah. I approve of it though, and I think it's also a really fun game. And there's a new map called Oasis that I was playing with my friends last night, and it's really
Is it like
it's
a
like based
beach?
on Iraq, and it's so it's like an oasis in the desert, but it's like a really cool futuristic city, and apparently it's like an accurate depiction of that
Of an
like
oasis?
what's
an accurate depiction of a mirage? Wait, hold on. What?
No, an accurate depiction of what Iraq would look like in the future potentially. Like it's not like a stereotypical Ryan. You're done. Goodbye.
I'm on my second cup of coffee, okay? I'd be getting up at 7 o'clock every morning.
Wow, 7. That's awesome. I woke up at 8 a.m. yesterday and I thought I was killing it, but you're ahead of me.
Well, yeah, I'm jumping up. This is a good transition to workouts, but
It is. Do you have a workout tip or do you just want me to do one?
I think you're gonna have to do one because I've really just not.
But you
I took a
have been
month off from
working
working out.
But you're just doing the same old.
Yeah. But actually, I was gonna say what it's been working for me right now is the whole getting up and just going outside and immediately moving thing. Kind of like when you're in high school and you like roll out of bed. It's like 7 in the morning. And you have to like be like, fuck,
Or
I have to be at
6 in
school in
my
10
case.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a whole lot of that happening. But I guess my workout tip today is how to wake up. And obviously that's like our biggest problem since we have this whole show about that.
Yeah,
And we still can't manage to do that. Like we show up
I can't do it.
10 minutes late. I mean, you always know that I take the dog out first thing in the morning, but my workout tip is wake up and like, of course you feel groggy and you want to like basically die. But this works great is like, since I have the dog, I go right out and we walk around, and the more extensive you can do that, the more you forcibly make yourself move. The first 2 minutes are the most horrible feeling of your life, but when you come back, you're pretty awake. Which
That's
is not my
good
case
advice.
today because I did not dress appropriately and it was very cold outside. So I quickly went back inside. But generally what happens is that like, if you get up early, the best thing to do to wake yourself up is just immediately start walking around, like power walking, like first
and ideally outside, because once you see the sunlight, it wakes you up.
Well, sometimes I wake up and there is no sunlight, but it's more about the fresh air. Because you basically, unless you have been asleep outside camping,
which is what I do every night. I just sleep outside.
So I guess my workout tip is more like a wake up tip, where it's just like get yourself moving in the morning, which I've sort of talked about with weights and stuff, but this is like a really instant way to get your brain moving because you're literally making the blood flow the second you wake up.
That's awesome. I
feel
like
free to go to the bathroom first, so you don't jump out of the bed and then run outside. You're like, I really gotta pee, and then you're like peeing on somebody's house. I don't know.
Yeah, that happens to me constantly too. Well, I don't normally do this, but yesterday I actually just woke up at 8 and worked out before work, which was great. And I wish I could say I did that every day, but I don't. I've started doing P90X again, which I've totally dissed on this show because there are workout videos for this that are like an hour and a half long, and it's friggin' ridiculous.
With the name like P90X, I mean, I know what it is. It may as well just be about the X-Men.
It's 90 minutes. I mean, as promised.
So wait, is that why it's called 90? Holy shit!
I actually don't know, but
I don't think it is because there's videos that aren't 90 minutes.
A lot of them are 90 minutes though. Like a lot of them are an hour and a half. It's crazy. I hate it. So last time I did P90X, and I think I talked about it on this show or why I gave up. I was doing the original. They have like certain orders that you do the videos in. And I was just doing the original one, which is great. I mean, the videos are great. They're just too fucking long. And I gave up because I was like, I can't work out for an hour and a half every day. That's too much time. I don't care enough about this. So this time I'm doing the alternate version of like video order, and it doesn't include all the videos. And it's probably not as good of a workout, but I'm actually like able to complete most of them. And so I guess I would just say, like, set reasonable goals for yourself. And also somebody wrote in at one point and they wondered if I had ever tried, there's like a 30-minute version of P90. It's like P90 Lite or something. I've tried those. I've
never heard.
Videos are as good. Like I've done them and I don't feel like I'm getting as much of a workout from them. I don't feel like there's as much weightlifting. Those videos, the 30-minute videos, all the exercises revolve entirely around one of those elastic bands, which we've talked about on this show.
Yeah, the ones that like knock out people's teeth.
Yeah, if that band breaks, you're getting
dead.
A significant injury. Like you could get your eye hurt.
You just instantly become a ghost.
So I don't use those anymore. I don't like those bands because they scare me. And
I mean,
also,
they should. They're like a dangerous weapon.
I have had a band break before, and like, luckily I wasn't hurt. But like, just the experience of having that happen to me, I was like, I think I'm good on these elastic band things. And the 30-minute P90s revolve almost entirely around them, and you can use weights instead, but the videos don't really tell you how to do that. And I don't know. I just don't like those videos as much. And like, it sucks because I actually really think P90X is like a pretty good program, but I don't know. I'll see how long I stick with it. I've been doing it. I've been like appreciating how my guns are coming out.
You've been appreciating the muscle in your arms.
I am appreciating it. And like whenever I actually do a lot of like pull-ups and push-ups, which these videos are a lot of upper arm strength.
I'm sure the ladies appreciate it.
I feel good about myself and I'm like, yeah, I look awesome. But then I like forget to keep doing the videos because I'm busy and I'm like, oh, my arms just look like, you know, noodles again. Oh well. Yeah, so that's what's up with me. I guess I would just say, like, do P90, but do, I think it's called the lean phase instead of like the strength phase or something. There's like multiple orders of videos. I've liked that one a lot better. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's my tip.
That's it.
Workout
That's
videos,
the end.
man. There's no,
If you want to be
there's no
hot like
gyms
Maddy
near
and
me,
have
so-
muscles that will kill like Wonder Woman, do
Mhm.
P90 lean or
Yeah.
P90X, whatever. I mean,
Yeah, whatever works for
P90.
you. I think I said this last time I talked about it, but like just try the videos. Just like try them and see which ones you like and do your own order. Like do whatever you want, man. Whatever works for
P90
you.
really sounds like Pokemon items, like when you get like the TMs and all that stuff. It's like
yeah, it sounds like a video game
HM35
thing. And
P90.
P90X sounds like a fucking X-Men thing. It's
I
like
said that.
X. Oh, and in the videos, have I ever told you this? They're like constantly
Do
posing.
the X-Men show
like,
up? Do they
they're
start working
constantly
out?
doing this, and I'm like, why? This is so corny.
Because there's
like,
so many Magneto. I don't know.
Also, they're all wearing X-Men cosplays. That would be amazing.
Hold on. This is a great time to jump into pop culture news, but I just saw that this was
X-Men.
announced that the Wolverine trailer released a picture of who Richard E. Grant is playing, and it's not Mr. Sinister, it's somebody else. So
What?
even though they alluded to Mr. Sinister, I guess he's no
Oh.
longer in the film.
That's stupid.
Like, cop out. These fucking movies need to stop.
I keep hearing Logan is really good, though.
I'm sure it will be. I mean, Hugh Jackman's in it, and X-23 is in it.
Yeah,
and
I've heard good things from like people who've seen like little previews of it and stuff, like journalists and stuff.
I'm sure it is.
The buzz is really good for this movie, and I'm like pretty hyped about it.
Me too.
In spite of my disappointments that Deadpool will not be in it.
And making out with Wolverine, which is something else you wrote about.
He won't be making out with Wolverine, which I wrote about extensively. And he apparently now I'm learning Mr. Sinister won't be in it. So fuck this movie. But I'm totally
Deadpool just needs to be making out with Cable. Like that's
I don't know if they're gonna do that either.
They haven't even done that in the comic books yet. But like they get closer and closer to it every time.
Just closer and closer to kissing.
It's like Marvel is so close to bridging that gap because they've already had an alternate dimension Wolverine that was bisexual, so they've already basically implied that's what Wolverine is.
I mean, they won't do it. I mean, I wrote an article about this yesterday with regard to like the statements that Ryan Reynolds has made about Deadpool, because he's actually been in the news a lot saying, I would really like to see Deadpool have a boyfriend. And that's really cool. And like, I love that he keeps saying that because he's producing these movies. He's completely in charge. If he wants something to happen, it can actually happen. Like he's proven that by even.
I don't know who he would be with.
Well, maybe Cable, because I know he's also said that he wants to do a Cable movie.
Well, Cable's already been confirmed. They just haven't cast him.
Well, so maybe they'll do something with that, because I know they've implied that Cable and Deadpool like have feelings for each other. But here's the thing. Homophobic fans of Deadpool get all up in the comments anytime this comes up, and they're like, excuse me, but Deadpool is gay, but not gay enough to ever really date a guy.
Don't listen to them. They're probably all banging each other anyway. So,
but I think that that's why we need to have this happen, because those guys need to grow the fuck up and accept that the character that they love is a pansexual character. like canonically, that's always been the case, and I just really want either the comics or the movies or both to just go ahead and be like, this guy who you idolize and think is hilarious and like quote constantly also sleeps with men. Like, just put that in your noggin, homophobes. Like, I think it would help, and I just really hope
I don't know. It's like they write their own fanfic of what Deadpool is, and they're like, that's the canon of Deadpool.
Yeah,
that's
Deadpool's
the one that I
only
read.
into ladies, according to me, a dude on the internet and a dude who cosplays Deadpool. I don't know. I really hate that shit, and I really want them to like fuck with that perception. And
let's see what happens.
I'm excited that maybe Ryan Reynolds will do it, but it probably won't really happen.
It needs to get out of Fox hands in order for that to work. James mentioned Deadpool and Spider-Man, which is actually like a whole thing. I don't know if you know about that. It wouldn't work
in the current canon
Peter
because
Parker
they're
is not
starting Spider-Man, and he's so much younger than Deadpool.
Yeah, exactly. And also Peter Parker's not even like, to my knowledge, even slightly bisexual. I think it's Deadpool just has a big crush on him.
Yeah, which is fine. But at least with Cable, those feelings have kind of been reciprocated in the comics.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just that they've never acted on it.
Well,
So
he's
it's
from the
kinda
future.
like,
Anything can happen there. So
yeah, that's fine in the future, right?
a future.
Come on, Marvel. All right, let's talk about some sad stuff, I guess, because that's next. Or do we want to do more X-Men things? What do you want
Well,
to
this
do?
is kind of sad. There's the Inhumans versus X-Men series that's going on right now, which is actually pretty well written considering like what it's about, which is the Terrigen Mist cloud coming along and like killing all the mutants, period. And they have like 2 weeks to live. So
You're on record as hating all Inhuman storylines, but apparently you're reading this. That's
well,
interesting.
but that's because it's an X-Men storyline technically, and
Mhm.
the writers on this are actually pretty good. And in this opening issue, it's pretty much like Emma and Magneto, and Beast and Storm and Rogue and Wolverine being like, "Yo, what are we gonna do about this problem where the Terrigen Mist cloud is gonna come and murder all of us for
Mhm.
existing?" And Beast is like, "We got to leave the planet," and Magneto is like, "Or we can stay and fight." And Beast is like, well, how are we going to do that? Because if we kill the Inhumans, that's the only way the cloud's going to go away. So, like, Beast is like, we're not going to do that. So basically, Storm, Emma, Magneto, and Wolverine, Rogue are like, yeah, but we are. We're just going to start murdering the Inhumans, and that's what's happening.
Whoa.
Like it was like this whole thing where Emma was like, so I've
It's them
created
or us.
huge plan, this huge ridiculous plan that's going to like basically hopefully save us. And so it starts off with like this whole ridiculous thing where they're trying to like take out the Inhumans one by one, like all the X-Men, and it's like really, really fucking dark. Like it ends with like Emma Frost and Dazzler essentially killing Black Bolt, and I was like, holy fuck. Which is the leader of the Inhumans, and he's also a little crazy and evil. So as if Magneto isn't. I mean,
no,
yeah.
I know Magneto is always like it's them or us. If they challenge us, we need to resort to violence. I mean, that's
right. So it was just it's a good story to read, but like I am a little concerned about in terms of marketing what's going to happen to the X-Men because of this whole thing that's happening specifically because of what's happening in the MCU. And I mean, they also wrote some stuff that's alluded to the idea that the mutants could transform into Inhumans, which I think is where they're going, which I think is specifically happening so they can get rights to the X-Men if they're no longer called the X-Men. Does that make any sense?
It does, and it sounds bad.
It sounds really bad. But the writers on this particular story are very good, but like I'm concerned about the long-term effects here.
Yeah, like if just all of a sudden Storm is an Inhuman and then all of a sudden she's like in the Marvel movie universe or something. Like
and she's also like a god, why not?
Really weird also. And I don't know.
Wonder Woman shows up. I mean, why not? Anything's possible
DC,
now.
Marvel, Fox.
DC versus Marvel.
20th Century Fox versus Universal or whatever. Yeah. It doesn't work out. Everybody's fine. Everybody knows each other. That's interesting.
So
all right.
I'll let you know more about that because I've been sort of posting on my Tumblr blog like little recaps of every comic I'm reading. I'm a couple weeks behind because the holidays happened, but nobody cares because it's Tumblr. So let's talk about sad stuff and how we're dealing with the death of Carrie Fisher.
A couple weeks ago, or like a week ago, I have no sense of time. Carrie Fisher passed away suddenly, and I can't remember if we talked about her having a heart attack on this show.
We didn't because we haven't done it since then.
Oh yeah,
we've been gone for like 3 weeks.
I talked about it.
I know.
And I was super upset by this because obviously I've talked about Carrie Fisher on this show. Like anytime she does anything,
literally anything,
she does like a 5-minute late show interview, and I talk about it on this show. I think she's really great, and I wrote some articles about her, and I don't know, she's like one of my personal idols just in terms of the way that she lives her life.
I mean, you're very lucky because you were able to go and see her.
I got to see her, and I talked about that
not too long ago.
Yeah, and at the time I was like, these tickets are expensive. It's like annoying to go all the way to Harvard Square and like blah blah. But like, I'm so glad I went to see her because
now that chance is gone. If
now no one can see her live again, and like she's so funny live, and she's just such a great comedian and such a smart person.
What's even more sad is her mother passed away like 2 days
shortly after. And so HBO's actually like made this documentary about the two of them and like
I hear it's really good because
And it's airing on Saturday, so I don't have HBO, but I'll just like find somebody who does and use
You
their
can go
login
over
or
to Steph's
something.
house. She's got HBO.
I just like I think this is really cool. And they actually made a documentary about how close Carrie Fisher was with her mom, who's Debbie Reynolds, who everyone knows is also
Right.
super famous.
I know.
And Debbie Reynolds died like the week after Carrie Fisher
It
died.
wasn't even a week. It was like a few
Few
days. It was
days,
something
and she
crazy like
was
that.
basically like, I want to be with Carrie, because psychologically, if you're super close to somebody, like this happens with married couples a lot, like your body just kind of shuts down sometimes, not always, but it's just really sad. So
No,
that
you're
was
right. That,
sad,
that does happen frequently because, you know, you're heartbroken and your heart's broken. You can't exist without that other person, you know?
especially if you already have some health problems, which I think Debbie Reynolds did, and like you're kind of like holding on emotionally in order to be with the other person. God, it's like it's so tragic. It's like hard to even think about and keep inside of your mind.
Right.
So in response to that, I like got all of Carrie Fisher's books this week. I don't know if I told you I did this.
No.
Well, she's written a lot of books. She wrote like a couple of memoirs and a couple of fiction books. And so I just got all 6 of the ones that were available on audiobook. And I've just been listening to them. And I'm listening to them in order. And I already listened to all of Postcards from the Edge, which is the book that she wrote about being in a rehab facility and like having been addicted to drugs, but also like struggling with like suicide. But it's so funny and like dark, and just like everything she does, she's like hilarious. And and she reads the books herself, which is why it's so awesome to get them
Right.
on audiobook, because you get to hear her like talk about her life in her own words. And so even I wasn't like even crying listening to this book. I was like laughing and like lifting weights and just like listening to it and thinking about her, and
And how
like
great she is and like
she's just
how
fucking
funny
amazing.
she
So
is.
like I definitely recommend Postcards from the Edge, because I just finished reading it. I haven't started the next one yet. But I just really loved it. It's really short. You can get it on audible.com for like a free credit if you don't have an account there yet. I don't know. I just have nothing but good things to say about Carrie Fisher, and I'm really sad that
It's
she's
sad.
gone. But
And
yeah,
you know, a lot of other actors have sort of talked about it, like Mark
yeah.
Hamill
Like Mark
wrote a
Hamill did
really,
this beautiful letter to
yeah,
her,
it's
which just
Harrison Ford. They both were like really not
I mean,
okay.
I can't even imagine like being friends with somebody as incredible as she is and like losing that person. Like it's
Right.
really sad to think about that, because she's so talented. It's like absurd. And I'm sure she was also a stressful person to be around at times.
Well, I'm sure. And you know,
But
it's
it's
funny that
like
Tina
just
Fey said some nice things about her too, because of like all that Carrie Fisher stuff they
yeah,
did
and she was
together.
on 30 Rock,
I
and
know.
her cameo on 30 Rock is
My
hilarious.
favorite cameo by Carrie Fisher in general is the one in Scream 3, where they
Yeah,
go
which you
down
linked
into the
me to, and it's amazing.
because it's like,
It's
I
a
mean,
joke about herself.
which I'm sure she wrote in there herself.
I
When she went
love
to do
that
some
she does.
script doctoring,
It's like she
because
became so famous that she could only really be self-aware about it, and like just
that's what happens in Scream 3. I mean, they go down there and they see it. It's like, are you? She goes, no, I was up for Princess Leia, but I didn't get the role. Some other bitch did, and like
and she's like some other
smoking a
bitch
cigarette
who
and being.
slept with the director got it, and like is making jokes about like her own false reputation
I
for
mean, that
like
that whole scene is, I don't know if
it's
you've
so
seen
great.
Scream 3, but that's a great scene too, because it's got Gail Weathers along with the actor who's playing Gail Weathers in the movie of Scream that's doing a movie of Scream. So
Yeah,
it's like
there's a
quadruple
lot.
layered. But it's a really
The
it's
Scream movies are always like intentionally
I mean that's
using Hollywood as an idea, and
it's one of the things, and we're not going to go into Scream right now, but the reason I like those movies is because everything is so like layered and making fun of everything. The writing is
Mhm.
really good in Scream, and I think I don't know, I don't have any actual proof of this, but I'm sure Carrie was somehow involved because she's in the fucking movie. Like, how else would she get there? You know?
But yeah, she's done a lot of awesome writing, and I don't know, she's just the best, and I'm really sad that she's gone.
Yeah,
But
Maddie spent the
also,
whole day crying.
I seriously did. I don't cry about celebrity deaths ever. This was like a weird day for me. I really don't. Like I don't really like see myself in a celebrity that often, but like Carrie Fisher was an example of somebody where I was just like, wow, I can super relate to your struggle, and like I'm nothing like you. I don't know you, but I feel
Yeah,
like I know you because you're such a humanizing person about everything that's happened to you. And I don't know, she was just such an effective writer,
she really was, and I
and
think that's what I
speaker.
appreciated about her the most, and like a lot of people appreciate her as Leia because she was
is
one of the
amazing.
first female heroes on screen. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think she was like the first. I could be wrong about that, but you know, like
I mean, there were plenty of like, you know, sexy love interests in sci-fi or like,
yeah,
you
but
know,
like not
sexy
quite as
evil
sassy as she
sorcerers.
was, you know.
But like Princess Leia was like the original sassy, like fuck you. That's why I love A New Hope so much, because she gets all the best lines in that movie, and it's
She really does.
before she becomes just completely entrenched in the love story thing, which I love too.
I
But
still liked
A
her
New
the
Hope
most as
is so
General Organa in the new movie. I thought that was
amazing
great.
in The Force Awakens. And
It's
so
gonna be okay. It's
we
gonna be really fucking weird
so
when this new movie comes out that she just shot a bunch of scenes
she
in.
was in this new movie like a ton. Like they'd
Yeah.
already shot everything for it, and she's apparently got like a larger role in it. So that's crazy. And I'm probably gonna cry a lot.
I hope okay, if they turns out that they had written in a scene or done a scene where she shows up with a lightsaber, everybody's just gonna immediately start sobbing. Like
Yeah,
everyone.
I don't know what they're gonna do.
I don't know either. I don't know what to expect with
That
this.
she
So.
could have had a lightsaber, so maybe they'll just like put one in.
That's what I said too. I was like, they could easily CG
give her
one in
one.
now. I mean, it's a lightsaber. It literally is CG. There's no real lightsaber.
Mhm.
So
I don't know, man. She's the best. And so I really hope that the new movie like honors her legacy in some way. And I guess in the next movie they're gonna have to find some way for General Organa to die in battle or pass away in some other form, because I
or
don't
she's
see
just
how
like
they could
not there.
include her.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think they're gonna have to
Meanwhile,
rewrite the
Han's
third
dead, so I
movie.
guess everyone's just gonna be dead. Like it's
I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do. It's gonna be they're gonna have some serious rewrites to do, and I'm really curious about how they're gonna handle it. But anyway, let's not talk
well,
about
what's
that.
gonna happen is that they're like, oh shit, what do we do? And they're like, quickly, we just need to like make Finn and Poe make out like endlessly for
to
hours.
distract
Everyone
people.
forget.
The third movie is actually just a hardcore porn, but it's like really good, like
I mean,
really high budget.
why not?
Really
it's
great
Star Wars.
acting, and everybody's like, "Wow, this is like
It's
incredible."
like $1 billion porn. Like they're having
Honestly,
sex
I
and there's
think
like a
Carrie
whole space
Fisher
battle just
would be
happening in the
totally
background.
fine with it if that's how the third Star Wars ended up going. If she was like, "Yeah, I'm not there, just make it gay porn."
So talking about new Star Wars porn films, Rogue One.
Yeah, we both saw Rogue One finally. You managed to see it.
Yeah, I'm glad that we held off until we both saw it, because it was
now at this point I think a lot of people have seen it.
I think I don't know where to even start with this movie because
okay, so I guess I'll just say that I think something interesting about this movie is that it's really obvious that they had to do some significant re-editing after the fact. I don't know if that was your experience in watching it, but like especially the first 10 minutes of the movie, which was apparently added later. And I think the first 10 minutes of the movie is the trickiest part. Like in watching it, I was like, this is tough to follow.
Yeah,
like,
well, that's how I feel about literally any movie. It's the same as like a TV show where it's like, okay, those first 10 minutes really have to.
Yeah, the pilot episode of every TV show is like the worst part. I know. Because you're like, oh my God, what? So much exposition, so much is happening.
I mean, I did like the opening scene. I thought that was good, but.
The parts that I thought were tricky were like Cassian's intro scene, which just made me dislike him strongly. And then he kind of had to like win me back. And then Body's opening scene, which was just so much exposition that I was like, all right, I get it. Like, I understand who this guy is. Like, stop telling me. And then I don't know. After that, it kind of picks up. And like once Forrest Whitaker's there and they're like meeting him and talking to him about, Jin's dad, I was kind of like, all right, the movie's picking up steam. Like, I understand what the story is now, what the goals
okay, so like,
are.
I don't remember any of these characters' names, so you have to remind me who's who.
Okay, well, Jin's the main girl.
I know who Jin is.
Cassian is the pilot who has a pet robot who he's married to.
Yeah, the robot who is probably my favorite part of the whole movie. I want a sassy robot.
Alan Tudyk is very funny as the robot.
I want a sassy robot, and it can't be Mary Ellen because she's not a robot.
No, so. I guess you're stuck with me.
And you are a robot?
Of
course.
Robot knight? I am a robot knight. And so, yeah, I did think that Alan Tudyk's lines were hilarious. Whoever punched up the script did an excellent job. That in terms of writing, I liked. I think the overall plot arc was good. I even liked the villain, Krennic, the guy who's all in white. I liked him too. I liked his weird situation. there were a lot of things about the movie that I thought worked really well. I thought it was really fun.
I thought it was
However,
overall. I thought it was a very good movie, but there was like some things about it that like I had problems with. But like overall,
mostly
like I
story
could.
problems I had. I don't know.
It was what that's how it was. I guess technically it's story problems for me, but for me, the thing that I didn't that I had a problem with the second it came out of the theater. So it's like I was like, this was a great war story, a great story about like what it's like to be part of a rebellion. It's really good at depicting that, especially for Star Wars. It was sort of ballsy for Star Wars to do something like this in a movie, which spoilers, I'm going to say spoilers. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, plug your ears, in which literally everyone dies.
Yeah,
which
that's a risky choice.
Well, you know what? Halfway through the movie, I was like, at some point, I was like, I don't know what set it off. I'm sure when I rewatch it, I'll understand. But
well, I mean, again, like this is spoilery. But after Forrest Whitaker's character dies, I was like, oh, I bet they're gonna kill all of them, because at that point, like the stuff that he says, I was just like, oh, they're all considering this like a suicide mission. Like you don't know until they get to the planet and they're stealing the plans that it is a suicide mission because of the circumstances of it. But I was like, I don't think these characters are going to make it.
Well, I think it might have been when the gate was closing, and they were like, once when the gate closes, nobody's getting out. But then they were like, oh, we're going to reopen the gate. But then that still, it still
seemed to me like there was no way they were going to get out. I understood as soon as it got to the planet. I was like, I bet a lot of them are going to die, or all of them.
Right. And I was also, when I saw that happen, I was sort of like, they're probably going to die because they're characters we've never heard of before, and they're supposed to be really important pieces to the rest of this.
Are in Clone Wars, the cartoons. Like Forrest Whitaker's character Saw Gerrera is in those cartoons, but those are set in the before time. So that's where they got his character from, which a lot of people don't know. So I thought that was kind of neat that they like specifically chose a character
they posted a new trailer for Clone Wars today, by the way, and Sabine looks it's very Sabine heavy, just FYI. So
there's but I mean, now it's Rebels. But I mean, it's cool that they're tying all that stuff over. And I know a lot of people don't watch the cartoons, and for a long time I didn't, but now I'm watching them all and I'm like mad at myself for not watching them before. So I keep going around being like, watch the cartoons, guys, to like everyone I meet, and everyone thinks I'm annoying for talking about Star Wars constantly.
So James mentioned in the chat over here that he figured everyone was going to die for narrative continuity, and I think that's probably really what it was that made us figure this out, because we're like, well, that would make the most sense.
It made sense to me, and it didn't bother me, but it was still emotional to watch everyone die. Like I
agree, which is funny to me, because like when I felt that way, I'm like, well, why do I care? Because I know nothing about any of these characters. And
it's a good movie.
I mean, that's what shows. Like developing any of the characters at all, so you don't know what any of their deals are.
But I think the acting was good and the writing
was good.
It's
like the acting was good enough, and like the scenes were fun and well done to the point that you didn't really think about it. But like afterwards, I was like, this is a really fun movie. I really enjoyed it. I'm like, I don't know why. Like I'm rooting for Jin, because I know that she's like I know what she's doing, but I don't really understand why she's doing anything she's doing at any point in this movie, other than she'd be like, my dad, like that's her story, and like.
But
and then for the rest of them, like
like I get it. I mean, it doesn't need to be complicated.
Sure, but then for like the rest of the characters, all of them, the pilot, not the pilot, the Han Solo type. What's his name again?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the pilot guy. I'm trying to remember. I mean, there's the pilot who's Cassian, and I would consider him maybe the Han Solo type who like hugs Jin at the end before.
That's who I'm talking about. Well, like, okay, so with him, he sort of is like his story is like, I'm not good. We've all done things that like, and like we don't regret, but I'm not going to tell you. And then like, then the pilot, the other pilot dude that was like, your dad told me to join the rebellion because of something that happened, so I did, but he doesn't explain what happened. And then like the blind dude is like, oh, he used to be one of the best, but then something happened. We're not going to tell you what happened. And then his like gay boyfriend.
Never find out. Yeah, no, you're right.
And like that's even the robot. He was like, oh, I was reprogrammed from like the Empire.
Droid.
But I'm not going to explain that.
I don't mind that you don't get that information though.
But what's going to probably end up happening is that they're probably all going to appear in like
comic books and cartoons.
In Star Wars Rebels, which is a great show, by the way. And so we'll probably get more backstory on that. But it was definitely, that was like my only major problem with the movie, whereas I was like,
where you just wanted to know more.
Well, I just like, I want to understand like what why I'm rooting for characters, if that makes any sense. Like, I want to understand why, like, I'm on team Rogue One, other than be like, oh, because it's Star Wars and we know that the Empire's
They're
bad.
good guys.
Yeah.
That's
And there's
fair.
definitely some like weird choices in this movie too that like I really wish I had seen it with Marianne. Like that whole random scene with like ventilator dude, he's like, we're gonna get all that information out of you. And then there's like this weird tentacle porn happening.
I didn't like that
it's like
scene either.
slithering over him, but it's never explained why that's happening. So like,
I didn't like it. And I felt like it was so confusing later because like, okay, so this is actually very early in the movie, so it's barely a spoiler, but like, so Body is also a pilot. That's why you were like, he's not the pilot. There's like 2 pilots in this movie.
yeah, you kept saying pilot. I'm like, okay, well, there's a bunch of people.
Cassian pilots the ship that they ride in, and then Body's also like a professional pilot who fights in fighters. So he works for the Empire at the beginning of the movie, but he defects to the rebels because he's I realized that I'm doing the wrong thing by working for the Empire and I want to leave. Right. So the rebels don't believe him that he's defecting, and they think he's a spy. So they kidnap him and torture him with this weird tentacle monster. But I was like, what does the tentacle monster do? And they like kind of explain it later. And like, if you get
it was very Return of the Jedi, where it's like, oh, here's the Sarlacc pit, and if you fall into it, you die. Like,
it made no sense because if you get tortured by the tentacle monster, you lose your mind. But then later, Body is fine.
I know. He instantly he goes pilot. I'm the pilot, and then he remembers everything. Lost his mind,
and all he can remember is that he is a pilot, and so he just keeps repeating to himself like, "I was the pilot. I am the pilot." And like, it's sad because it's like, oh my god, this guy's lost his mind, and we just fucking met him 2 minutes ago.
But then he gets it back. Don't worry.
And he gets his mind back for no reason, and I was instantly. Like, what happened? I mean, there were some problems, and I think those are editing problems, and I
probably
is missing, particularly in the first 30 minutes of
the movie. I mean, I know that they went back and they re-edited stuff because they were like, oh, Jin's too aggressive, and I was like, but that probably like explained who the hell she was, because now she has no lines and she just like
she doesn't do as much, and so she's much more mysterious, and I didn't really mind it. I think she's more of a cipher that the audience can relate to, but she definitely doesn't have as much characterization as like Rey and Finn in The Force Awakens.
I mean, that's true.
I think that's because there were just more people working on The Force Awakens for longer. And,
that's true.
And this movie kind of came together in a couple years, you know, like it shows. Can
we talk about in terms of editing also, like the CG they used on like,
oh my God.
Like, I know you have a huge problem with Leia, but she was actually, I didn't mind her as much. General Tarkin was driving me crazy the entire movie.
I mean, he drove me crazy too. But also I was like, there's no way around this. They had to create a CGI General Tarkin because that's who
or just not
here.
But he didn't need to be in the movie, if that makes any sense. They could have had him like call one time to deliver all the plot points that General Tarkin had in this entire movie. Like, he did not need to be in this movie.
He didn't need to be in this movie 6 times.
And he looked like the CG version that they have in like what is it, Star Wars Rebels. So I was like, this is really weird. He looks really moist. It looks like he just came out of the shower
that we've talked about, like Advent Children and like the movies where it's like everyone is CG, but like, I don't know, it was very strange.
Well, the Advent Children CG looked better.
That's not true.
I haven't watched this movie in like 10 years, but I did like Darth Vader coming back, even though like he didn't really need to be there either. But one of the things I really enjoyed him as Darth Vader was like last scene with him where he comes in the hallway and they actually get to show him like telekinetically whip people around the room into the roof, and I was like, we've never seen Darth Vader do this. This is great. This is like what they couldn't afford to do before.
I really liked that final scene, and I even liked the corny scene where he's talking to Krennic and like trash talking him.
Okay, now that's actually a really well written scene though, in terms of dialogue. It's really great.
People hated that scene and they were like, it's too corny, and I was like, no, I'm into it. Darth Vader is corny.
Have we like not watched a Star Wars film, people? Like, come on.
All these lines are corny as shit.
Do you remember Jar Jar Binks? Hello. Like,
okay, no, I don't remember who that is, and I refuse to remember who that is. But no, I liked that scene, and I mean, I get why General Tarkin was there. I don't understand why they didn't use a hologram or something. Like, there were ways around General Tarkin that they didn't use, and I think they took a really big risk. I don't know if that paid off, but I think they're going to learn a lesson from that, which is that people really still don't want a completely CG character
I mean, they could be in there, but I think they just need to like think about like to what extent. Like, this is why I liked Leia's appearance more. Was that like
I just didn't get why she was there. I was like, why are you showing Leia? Like, I know
because it's
that's
supposed
not
to connect to the first movie. Like, and I guess they wanted to do that,
but it was too much for me.
But
at the end, I was like,
don't. It was like literally 3 seconds and then it disappeared. It's not like we had to look at Tarkin for like half the movie. You know, so I was able to.
I think I was just annoyed that the movie was like being so completionist as to go all the way to the end and being like, this is literally how this piece of data gets delivered to Leia. Like literally every step is being shown. And I was like, guys, I've seen Star Wars. Like, well, maybe not everyone has. I don't know what happens next. I don't know. For whatever reason,
I don't even know what James is talking about, but he wrote, I liked Darth Vader's Eva lava tower. Oh, I do remember. Okay, yeah, I like that too.
Some very cool sets in this movie, like spooky castle.
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about how stupid that is. That they like. I mean, I liked it, but like Darth Vader lives in a lava castle because he fell into lava.
Get it? Get it?
Holy shit! All right, so
you live in the dark and you become the darkness.
I enjoyed it. I recommend it. I'll see it again. I mean, there were some problems with it, but like. It's a fun movie, and obviously the problems that I had with it, I can laugh at. You know what I mean?
Like relatively low expectations for it too. Like I was not expecting it to be as good as The Force Awakens. I just wasn't, and it wasn't. I didn't have that bar.
I wasn't expecting to be that kind of type of movie, if that makes any sense.
I remember seeing people being like, I mean, it was good, but it wasn't as good as The Force Awakens, and I'm like, well, duh. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's not even in the same category.
No,
it was a risk. They were like, can we tell a Star Wars movie?
It's not as risky as the Ewok film, which a lot of people hate, but I think the first one, because there's 2 of them. I liked the first one, but like, you know, it's like it's a Star Wars story where it's set in the universe, but it's like not. You can't expect it to be like A New Hope or like one of the major films, you know.
Main canon, or well, it is, but it's not part of the main saga of Star Wars movies, and that's okay too. I don't know
either.
Anyway, I just realized that we talked about this for like 30 minutes.
Well, that's okay. That was our main topic. We don't really have anything else to talk about in terms of stuff because we put Mario Run on here, but Mario Run has not been released for the Droid, so I have not even seen or played it.
You would have played it, but you were like, nope.
No, Nintendo decided to wait off. It says that it's coming soon, but I guess they wanted to give iPhone and Mac users a
leg up.
I don't know. I don't own an iPhone, and I probably never will unless I want to get a nice camera on it, but that's a separate story. So we don't need to talk about that. But Pokemon Go did do an update where the baby Pokemon are in there, so you can hatch like a Togepi and like a Pichu and those types. And right now, if you're playing the game, all the original 3 Pokemon, Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle, are appearing like all over the place for a limited time. So if you want to catch a bunch of those so you can maybe get like a Blastoise and a Charizard and a Venusaur, then you should jump on that. So, but that's all that's happening. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Go, walking around with the dog, dropping my phone into the river.
Oh my God. I hope that's an exaggeration of something.
No, I wasn't playing Pokemon Go. I was hiking and taking a picture in the back of my phone fell off into the river, so I had to replace the back of the phone. What? Taking a picture of a Pokemon. So do you have time for the throwback, or do you want to skip it for now?
We can do it really fast because this is already irrelevant because Christmas is over. But when Ryan and I hung out together, we watched The Santa Claus.
Yeah. Which
Ryan had never seen before, which blew my mind.
I saw a little bit of the second one, and I was like, what?
And then you kept referring to the second movie throughout the first movie, and you were like, well, in the second movie, so-and-so comes back, and such returns. And I'm like, Ryan, why do you remember like everything about this clip of the second movie that you saw? And it's like informing your entire experience of how you appreciate the first one.
Well, you know. I
actually really enjoyed this. We were hanging out on Christmas Eve. We were wrapping presents for your family.
Yeah.
Watching the Santa Claus, which is like classic Christmas activities. So
it really was. And like, and I was just like, the whole premise of the movie is fucking weird. This is like the first time I watched a movie in which I was like, you know, the idea of Santa Claus is really fucking creepy. Like,
it is.
Because there's so many scenes in this movie where he's becoming Santa Claus and he's like touching the children and being like, go back to sleep. And then he's like watching the children sleep. And I'm like, okay, this is weird.
I don't like any of it.
This is weird. And there's also like body issues going on in this movie.
Yeah, I don't like that stuff either. It's like he becomes Santa Claus and it's like just this terrifying terrifying things happen to his body that are outside of his control, which is like,
and then but meanwhile, everyone thinks
some black swan shit is happening, but it's
that's
Santa.
true. Black Swan. He starts dancing.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's terrifying.
Flashdance starts.
I don't like that stuff, but that is the entire premise of the movie. So the movie starts off with Tim Allen and his son, and he's like supposed to tell his son that Santa isn't real, but instead on Christmas they all
goes
find out
to
that
the North
Santa
Pole and
is
discovers
real.
that Santa is real and that he.
But before that, they accidentally kill
him, but
Santa.
that's not. Yeah,
well, they kind of do, because they walk out and they catch Santa on the roof, and Santa.
And so he slips and falls.
Yeah. Falls. So it's debatable. They don't kill him, but he dies in front of them. And then his body evaporates because it's a kid's movie and they can't just show a corpse lying there.
Well, I know. And also they were like, if something happens to be put on the suit, so I'm like, wait, are they going to strip this corpse of Santa Claus? But instead he just like turns into dust.
Jedi. So Santa is a Jedi in this. And his suit is just lying there. And so Tim Allen picks up this business card, and the business card has all this fine print on it that you can't see without a magnifying glass. So Tim Allen doesn't realize that as soon as he puts on the Santa outfit and starts delivering presents, he is doomed to be Santa for the rest of his life.
Until he falls off somebody's roof.
Yes, which, as far as I know, doesn't happen in the later Santa Claus movies. But yeah, so he ends up getting locked into being Santa Claus, and he's like very young in this movie. It was weird to see young Tim Allen, for one thing. But also, he becomes old. He gets a beard. He gains weight that he can never lose, and just becomes Santa Claus. And like his personality changes.
Yeah, he becomes nicer because they
becomes
start him off as somebody who's like
he
an asshole.
Transforms into a different person, which is like
right. But so then meanwhile, like everyone's like, something's wrong with this guy. He thinks he's actually Santa Claus. He's going to great lengths to like make believe that he's Santa Claus.
Go to a psychotherapist and stuff. And
right.
Like,
and so he's trying to convince his son that he's not Santa Claus, but then he's also being like, but I really am. And then it's like, it's actually very weird. It's a weird layer to have in there.
It is. And the whole extra layer of like how his kid knows that his dad is Santa Claus, but doesn't like understand that he shouldn't be telling other people that.
They're, like screaming that like
because his kid is like stupid and acts way too young for his age.
To the labor boards.
His kid is supposed to be like 9 years old, which like by the time you're 9, you understand how to keep a secret. But this kid like doesn't and is an idiot about it the entire movie. I don't know. It's a weird movie. I don't
Holy shit. Sky just appeared in chat. Do you have chat open?
Sky says shame turning into Santa didn't cure Tim Allen of his misogyny or homophobia. That doesn't come up in the movie, but
I mean, instead he's kind of like a pedophile.
I really don't like the
I don't either
that he has with the kids.
There's like a whole side plot here where like his ex-wife was like, oh, I stopped believing in Santa Claus because I didn't receive some weird thing. And then at some point, like Tim Allen's like in the living room and she's like, wait, it's really you. It's really Santa. And she's like running around. She's like, it's Santa. It's really
But it's
him.
like,
and it's
how does she figure it out?
I don't know. And also, like, you just spent the past like hour of this movie telling him that he's a crazy person. And like her her new husband's like, we're giving into his delusion. And then he's like, wait, I believe in him too. And it's like, so what? They look at Santa in the face and they're like, that's the real Santa. That's definitely not
at
Tim
the
Allen.
end, unexplained magic happens, but it's not edited well or like written well. I don't know. Guys, basically this kid's movie, it's not written well.
There's also like, this is sort of fucked up too, but there's like that whole scene where they're like, well, we have to find Santa Claus. So they go around like arresting anybody that's dressed as Santa, which is like literally everyone. So then you get to like, as a child, watch a billion people like get Santa Claus arrested like 5,000 times. So if you're into
an Amber Alert out for Santa Claus.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens in a lot of Santa movies.
That was like when the Amber Alert went out for Santa Claus. Is like, wait a second, the idea of Santa Claus is really creepy. Like, if there's anything to pull in from this movie, it's that.
But I mean, I think that's true in like Elf also, and like a lot of other live action Santa movies, where like once it's live action, you think about it and you're like, wait, Santa is creepy as fuck, you know? Like it just becomes very unnerving to think about somebody breaking into your house constantly and like knowing everything about you. And
Oh my
yeah,
God.
James is asking in the chat if the second one is the one about him needing
Yes,
to
that's
marry
what that
Mrs.
is.
Claus.
And also,
that is what it's about.
Sky is saying Santa Claus is kind of like Mrs. Doubtfire in terms of dads being creepy and everyone is really cool with
Yeah,
it.
Mrs. Doubtfire is another movie that
Sky's like on it today.
You're like, what? Sky, we always miss you. On that note,
Yeah, we should move into
and
recipes.
close it out.
Yep. And reader mail. Fuck.
Shit. Do we have reader mail? Let's do that first.
We do. And it's a good thing I didn't say anything, but like
until now.
Yeah. We actually have some. Today's the prompt was to tell us about your favorite Star Wars film, and we have one from Taylor that says, I saw Rogue One over Christmas and I really liked it. I'd say it's my favorite Star Wars movie because it has the least George Lucas cinematic universe obligations. That's a very good
That's
point.
actually true, yeah.
This movie is the second one that made me feel pandered to in a good way. Jupiter Ascending was the first. I've always loved dogs. It has everything. It has Mads, two gay space dads that love each other very much, morally ambiguous robots named Kay.
Yeah.
And Jyn Erso was perfect. Anyway, I want more self-contained Star Wars movies. I think they're great, and I agree with that. And like, I think
I'm excited about that happening in the future. I'm kind of skeptical about the Han Solo movie, but I guess I'll wait and see how they do it.
The thing that I'm most not looking forward to in the Han Solo movie is that there's going to be some stupid line, just like in the new Star Wars film, where instead of a trash compactor, it's going to be like him shooting somebody and be like, ha ha, I shot first, or some stupid bullshit.
I don't want them to do.
It's going to happen. We're just going to have to accept it now. And then like a bunch of characters are going to CG walk in.
I don't want any of that to happen.
Be there.
I mean, maybe they won't do
Black
that.
Swan. All right,
maybe
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Natalie Portman, she's in.
Yeah, she's been CG'd in to look like Queen Amidala. Anyway, so James wrote in, hey guys, hope you all enjoyed Rogue One. I loved it. I was wondering if you guys have read any of the old extended universe stuff and what you would most like to see in a new Star Wars movie. I think I would like the Darth Bane stories, or the ones where the Star Wars galaxy is invaded by a colony of aliens with living organic ships from the galaxy over, since they seem really cool. Sincerely, James. James, I used to be an avid reader of the extended universe novels. And I really loved, I mean, first of all, both Maddy and I love Mara Jade. We thought she was great. But I for a long time,
are they gonna make a Mara Jade movie? That'd be sweet.
Yeah, but I think one of the things that I got really into at the time was reading when Jyn and Jason were born, which was sort of one of the problems I had with the new movie, is because I was like, Rey is so obviously based off of Jaina, and Jason was very obviously Kylo Ren, if that makes any sense. But so that's why I'm like, are they supposed to be brother and sister? And that's been a whole theory too, is because I've really loved Jaina and Jason in the novels, and so like any of the stories that involve them, I really enjoyed and sort of went down the same path. And like, I think they appeared in the comic books as well, so like the novels got extended to that. But mostly, I just really want Jaina and Jason, because and I guess I'm technically getting that, but it's weird. Like,
Yeah. I guess my vote would be in the Clone Wars cartoons. There's this whole storyline about the Night Sisters, who are like these witches.
Holy shit! I love the Night Sisters.
And I love them so much.
I thought they were so fucking cool.
Force, but they're not necessarily evil. And like, they're basically just like alternate Force users from either the Jedi or the Sith. And they're an entirely like woman-run matriarchal planet. And like,
what's her name comes from there? I forget her name right now.
I don't remember any of their names because I'm not that good at remembering names, but they're all really cool. And I really loved those episodes of Clone Wars. So I think it would be really, really neat to see a Star Wars movie that did that.
I would like to see Ahsoka make an appearance, but that probably won't happen.
That would be cool, but I mean, I do recognize that Ahsoka is the main character of the entire Clone Wars show, so I feel like we get a lot of Ahsoka.
I mean, sort of.
With it if she's not in a movie.
The Clone Wars show is sort of all over the place, but
yeah, but I mean, she's in almost all of it, and it's her story in a lot of ways. So I mean, I love her, but the Night Sisters are a group of people who we don't really know a ton about. So I think it would be interesting to see them make it to the movie universe and just sort of offer another example of like how the Force
that was a good call.
Enter in.
We have one more email from Tom, and then Sky's recipe. And Tom says, favorite can mean a lot of different things. Like if you don't say Empire, then people yell at you. So I guess that's the best one. Shrugs, and then he goes,
"We won't yell at you. I just said A New Hope was my favorite movie earlier on in the show."
I think Empire is my new favorite now, but like actually, honestly, the new movie is really my favorite. The episode 7, but we'll get to that in a second. Although he goes, although I cried the most at Rogue One, so I guess the characters in that one resonated with me the most. New Hope will always have a place in my heart as the defining piece that is responsible for the whole franchise. That being said, I had the most fun with Force Awakens, and Rey is clearly the best Jedi of all Jedi. Yes, 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 yes. And then he goes, but all things considered, my personal fave has to be Return of the Jedi. The action of balancing the 3 endings, the fun of the Ewoks. Yes, I'm definitely an Ewok apologist. That's okay. I like the Ewok movie. I already stated that.
We're pro everything.
Leia gets to be badass through attempting to rescue Han and leading the charge in Endor, though Gold's bikini scenes are all cringe-inducing. The visuals were stunning and had the best lightsaber fight of the whole franchise. Plus, I still want a speeder bike to this day. All that combined with wrapping up a space adventure, telling of the classic hero's journey, and admittedly a healthy dose of childhood nostalgia makes Jedi my fave. I used to love Jedi as a kid, but it's not my favorite anymore. I think obviously, I think
was my favorite as a kid and is still my favorite.
I think The Force Awakens is now my new favorite because that was just all around. I feel like a well-established movie. I really liked Empire when I went back and rewatched all 3 again. Because I felt like it was the one that had the best storytelling and was like a very serious film. And everyone's gonna like yell at me because I already said the Ewok movie, but I legitimately love Phantom Menace. And everybody else disagrees with me, but I loved Darth Maul. I loved Qui-Gon Jinn.
Cool.
I loved the whole subplot of the fucking pod racing that nobody cares about. I don't like Jar Jar Binks, but I liked the world that they created that he lived in, where they went underwater, because that looked really cool.
What's tough about watching Phantom Menace, which I actually rewatched very recently, is that you can see how George Lucas has some really cool ideas when it comes to world building, which is why Star Wars is so great. And you sort of look at the bare bones of the story and you're like, these ideas are really cool, but the dude cannot write dialogue. He can't.
He just can't do it. He needs Carrie Fisher to come back from the dead and script doctor anything he does.
She did script doctor some of the prequels, but I don't think that they used everything. I think George Lucas just like used a very firm hand on those movies, and like his wife helped him with a lot of the original ones, and they got a divorce. And that's why the prequels are bad. That's a big reason why. So like the prequels, I think there's some really interesting ideas in the prequels, and that's why it sucks that the dialogue is like unlistenably embarrassing. Like,
no, I agree. It really is bad. And I loved Phantom Menace.
I can't get past.
I loved the whole idea that Queen Amidala had a decoy Queen Amidala. It's
fucking cool. The whole deal with Queen Amidala is so neat, and like she's a badass character. But like,
if you've been watching Clone Wars and you actually get to see Padme fight,
awesome, and she's great. And she's like a political genius. Like she's like a child genius who gets.
That's what it is. And like I think that's really interesting. I don't feel like the second movie translated that as well, or the third one, but I felt like the first one established that at least, and I liked all that about it.
But they really go off the rails with those prequels, man. And it sucks because like basically the cartoons take the ideas that were good about the prequels and try to fix the stuff that sucks.
That's true.
I don't know.
Pretty much.
Plus midi-chlorians make no sense. That is in Phantom Menace.
I like how Sky is over here in chat saying that Greedo is probably Han Solo's Tinder hookup in the future.
Yeah, I like.
Speaking of Sky, let me read her joke. She goes, "Sky's mandatory fun time, Star Wars," and she goes, "Why did Padme never insist on Anakin marrying her? She didn't want to force the issue."
I don't. Okay. Did Sky send us a recipe, or did
no? That's the recipe.
Okay, the recipe for romance.
It seems like the opposite of, but all right.
I think the Clone Wars cartoons do a pretty good job of like trying to fix the relationship between Anakin and Padme.
That's true. I know this guy's pointing this out now. She's like, why was Padme interested in Anakin in episode 2? Nobody knows. And it was fucking weird because like she met him when he was a child, and then like only a couple years went by, and then he suddenly was like way older.
But in Clone Wars, they try to explain that, but it doesn't really work. And episode 2 is terrible.
It really
I just watched it recently again. And it's so bad.
It really is like
we can't get into that. We can't get into that.
It needed more pod racing. obviously.
Do you have a recipe or what's up? Do we do
I was just
recipes?
gonna
'Cause
say what I
forgot.
did this week that works for me because I'm doing a lot of like health food again and trying to like shop like smartly in terms of like what you spend on money. And I'm like, how do you do a lot with a little? And I did white rice this week with like a bag of veggies that I bought from the grocery store. So it's like a few
Frozen
bucks
aisle?
altogether. Yeah. So like, like it was like carrots and green beans and corn and peas and stuff like that. Mix it into the white rice, and then I was like, I'll just throw some soy sauce on it. It'd be great. But I didn't have soy sauce, so I ended up using a lot of black pepper and garlic and a little cayenne pepper, and it tasted pretty great. But it's like, it's not gonna be like the best thing you've ever had, but it's like, it's what?
It's
I would
like,
say,
there's no protein in that meal.
I mean, that's true, but like you can throw a little chicken in there too, or fake chicken, or whatever you want to throw in. And basically, I mean, it's a very easy and cheap meal, and with the right amount of spice, because I like things spicy. It just, I mean, it was pretty good. I sort of think like things a little bland, a little spicy at the same time. I don't know if anybody else is into that, but that's like a thing that I'm into.
I mean,
So,
I do a lot. I used to do a lot of like rice plus other cheap ingredients when I was trying to save money. And
yeah,
it's definitely like a really easy meal to make, like rice plus veggies plus some fried eggs on top, or plus fake chicken or soy or chicken or whatever. It's a really easy meal to make. So I can get behind that. Um, yeah, I don't really have a recipe this week. I've been making pancakes for myself.
you've never
That's
talked about pancakes on the show, so you can just say pancakes.
all right, great. Pancakes.
Pancakes.
Um,
There's nothing to it. You
I
put it
got
in the
I got a
pan and then you eat it.
pan. I got a new pan for making pancakes as a gift for Christmas, and I've just been taking advantage of that because I had a really shitty pan before that didn't really it wasn't even on the bottom. I don't know. This is stupid. This isn't interesting. But the point is I got a new pan. And so I've finally been able to make pancakes that actually come out good. So if you like pancakes, treat yourself and like get a really nice pan because it really
Or
takes
go to the
pancakes up a
diner
level.
because they're pretty cheap there and they're usually pretty fucking
I
great.
mean, I would much rather do that, but it's expensive.
No,
So
what, the diner's not expensive.
I mean, it's way
I mean, I
more
guess in
expensive
comparison,
for
just
me
like
to be
making it
going
yourself.
out to eat in comparison to me like buying flour at the store and just fucking making some food as opposed to going all the way somewhere and like spending $10.
That's true.
I'm
Put
always
some
trying to
chocolate
save
chips
money
in
too,
there.
Ryan.
No, only me.
Chocolate chips. I'm actually not that into chocolate chip pancakes. I like fruit on pancakes.
That makes sense. Like strawberries and stuff like that.
Yeah, or apples. That's always
That
good.
sounds good. Well, there you go, everyone. Pancakes with apples and fruit on it. A fruity pancake. All right, we got to close out.
Just a couple of fruity pancakes. Close
Like,
out.
I don't know. It feels like that should be like a way to sell fruity pebbles back in the day of fruity pebbles.
How come there's no pancake cereal? That would be disgusting. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
We're gonna close out with
Follow
that.
us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook.
Yeah, okay,
Atomic Blue Productions is the name of our little production company.
Which is the real YouTube channel. This is
yes.
just an offshoot of it, but we
Yeah.
post clips of it on the Atomic Blue Productions YouTube channel. And also, if you go to atomicblueproductions.com, you can download the podcast or of this, or you can go on iTunes. But subscribe to both because subscriptions
Subscribe
are
to
great and
everything,
it helps us get the word out there that we are alive and do things.
Also, we're individually on Twitter. I'm Mitty Myers, and Ryan is Ryan Pagella, which is his name. And we
that's
have Atomic
not a Yoshi
Blue
name.
accounts on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, everywhere. Google Plus.
Yeah, for Atomic Blue, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, and Google Plus.
Yeah,
and
if you want, you can email us. We do a question prompt every week that we tweet about. Like this week it was Star Wars, but next week it'll be something else.
Normally we bring it up in the show, but we're a little distracted.
But you can email us at insomniacsinthemorning@gmail.com and we'll read your question on the show, even if it doesn't fill
and we have
in
a Patreon apron,
Patreon page
where you can donate money if you want to see us do more stuff. We have a huge plan of things that we want to do for 2017 that we're pretty excited about that we can't talk about yet, but we do have a lot of ideas. So that's a whole thing that's happening soon. And if you want to watch us read stories about characters being sexually attracted to each other and then torture chambers with Yoshis in it, you can go check out the latest Throwback Theater that we just posted on Atomic Blue Productions.
Okay, that's it. We did everything.
I think we did. I think I have a bunch of shit to do. So I'm going to get off this and drink more coffee because coffee's great. Look at my eyes. I look like a crazy person. I'm like, I want some coffee.
Okay, Mr.
Oh, and there's gonna be new Let's Watch Two Movies today.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Podcast,
It's Thursday, so
there's
a new episode of Let's Watch Two Movies out today.
Yep. All right,
okay,
we're gonna go. Thank you for watching, everyone. Bye.